On this week's Talking with Topher, like I just feel electricity going up through my shoulder into my neck, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna go compete. I'm gonna get hurt. I'm too old.
All right. Jesus loves sinners, you know, so he's always walking with them, trying to give him another chance, I think.
And now let's get into episode 204. What is happening, TwT fans? It is so good to be back on this February 29th, 2024, and I'm so glad you all came back for some more. Before I get into anything today, let me start off the same way I always do, and that's by thanking all of you out there. That's right. Big thank you to everybody who is subscribed, everybody who has helped promote this thing, and I just want to say thank you to everybody out there, especially the subscribers. If you're new to the podcast, you're just swinging by, stopping by, maybe you got sent the link tree and you're checking it out for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button, all right? It's the most important thing you can do for the podcast. It's free for you, and it keeps me coming back week after week, and it allows me to upgrade the podcast as we continue on into the 5th year. Don't forget about your opportunity to be a guest or tell your story. talkinwithtopher@gmail.com. That's talkinwithtopher@gmail.com. That's the official email of the podcast. And all you got to do is send an audio, video, or type it out. But you got to send it over to the official email of the podcast. That's where you can also write in, let me know if you want a t-shirt or a sticker. So little stickers, shirts, the only way to let me know if you want those. The stickers will be about $3. I think the shirts will be as needed. But do let me know if you want them by sending an email over to talkinwithtopher@gmail.com. Get yourself some merch, tell your story, or get an opportunity to be a guest. And then, of course, don't forget about the link tree. It's right there at the bottom of the description. That's right. It's in the description below the video. So you need to go there, click it. It gives you access to everything TwT. It's just that easy. And it's just that easy to share the podcast with everybody you know by copying and sharing. All right. So go ahead and do all of those things. I greatly appreciate it. I've got a guest today. And so instead of me rambling on and on and on and on the way I always do, let's just get into today's podcast with my guest, Elijah Weber. We're getting started here. Elijah, thank you for coming back on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Very excited about all of this. So let's just start right where you kind of left off, which is doing a competition yesterday. As we're recording today, it's Sunday. I think it's February 25th.
It's the 25th.
So 25th, right? So you did a competition.
Yeah, it's the
25th. What competition did you do yesterday?
I did the Grappling Industries New Hampshire Open.
Oh, nice. And you placed very well. So how was that for you? I like to going into a tournament for myself is extremely nerve-wracking.
Me too.
Okay, it is. I feel like people. Well, you compete. I want compared to me, you compete pretty regularly. So how is that? How is your preparation for it, and how do you get over, let's just say, the butterflies?
Well, the butterflies, it's kind of something you just kind of have to deal with it. It's kind of like jumping out of an airplane.
Okay.
I've
never done that.
You have to trust that, your equipment's going to work.
Okay.
And the people who inspected you are the best in the world at what they do. and they have total confidence that everything's going to work out when you exit the aircraft. And you got to, once you exit the aircraft, you got to be confident, in what to do and how to do everything, and just, do it safely and have fun.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's kind of like that was an extreme, but the butterflies, they just, you really just got to believe in yourself. And like, because if here's the thing, if you walking into the competition, even leaving your house to the competition, and you're thinking like, I'm not going to do well today, you already lost. You're going to do shit.
Okay.
It's not going to be a good day for you. You can't be like that. You have to tell yourself like, you don't even have to tell yourself you're going to win. You should, but
there's
just
nothing wrong with
fun, be happy. Here's the other thing. Like, I saw this, I was scrolling through Instagram reels one day, wasting time. And I saw this one where this person said, the happiest people train the hardest.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Whereas some people, they're not as happy. They rely more on discipline. They still show up and they put in the work, but they're more discipline run than they are run by their happiness. And I don't know, for like looking at things from the outside in, I kind of, I guess, would put myself in that second category, because I don't get me wrong, I'm pretty happy. I'm very happy. My life is awesome. I did really great yesterday, and I'm very happy. Let's not get it twisted here. My life is awesome. God's very good to me. So I'm not trying to sound like I'm complaining. Trying to remember where I was going with that. I'm having a brain fart here.
Well, it's just that like a lot of people.
Right. So
the struggle of competing and getting in there and getting over.
And if you're not really like happy or whatever, find something to be like grateful for. Like, practice some gratitude. Like that, for whatever reason, that kind of just clicked with me. And going every time I felt nervous stepping onto the mat, especially because it's like when the judge is looking, or not the ref, the judge, whatever, they're looking at you like, all right, come on. It's just like, oh shit, this is about to happen right now.
Right.
And you can't go in there thinking I'm gonna lose. Like, if you're thinking like that, just stop what you're doing, detach yourself for a second, and just be grateful that you're here. You look at what you're doing right now.
So be in the moment.
Yeah, be in the moment and have fun. Like, and just feel all the love that you have in your life. Just think about all that stuff for like a second.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 or 4. Just do that. And that should help you out. That helped me out yesterday. I went against a guy who actually beat me in that super fight tournament back in June.
Yeah.
And he's really good. I think his name is Reed Delaney. He trains at I think it's called Ginsberg BJJ. And he's really good. He did the ADCC US Open like 2 weeks ago. He placed like 9th out of 30-something people in a very tough division. So that kid, I mean, that was recently, but he beat me in that tournament. And that, I kind of let that bother me for a long time. I didn't like do anything unhealthy. It was just like one of those things that like kind of, picks at your subconscious a little bit. Of course. And when I saw him sign up, when I saw that he'd signed up at first, like for the division, which was kind of late in the game, I was like, oh snap, dude, this dude's gonna be here. Like, shit. And I started getting in my and you know what?
You get in your head.
It'd be like that, man. Like, you start getting in your head, and it's just like, shit, dude. And then you start like beating yourself up, and you're like, oh, don't do that to yourself. Is what I'm trying to get
right.
At. Just don't. I read this thing like tournament prep stuff online, and I think it was on the Tap Cancer Out website. Okay. And it was like 5 things to do like before a tournament. One of them was like, don't look up your opponents. Don't look up any other stuff.
Oh, really?
What did I do? I did that right away.
Oh, did you?
It was like reverse psychology, and I was like,
so you can go into the tournament on their website, and you can see where everybody's going to be
if they've been like competing. So Grappling Industries works with this company called Smooth Comp, and they have this software that kind of keeps a record of your wins, losses, like at all your tournaments and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you
So,
have kind of like well, it's a scorecard.
yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty cool actually, and you can like, you can put in what academies you're affiliated with.
So you can see where you're ranking.
Yeah, and you can also see like where you rank, I guess, throughout grappling industries.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
That's really cool.
just I'd love to do more IBJJF stuff. It's just they don't come around here.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know, and when they do come around here, I can't get the day off of work. So
Oh.
it's like, that's the other thing. Like, I love jiu-jitsu. I think it's one of my favorite things ever.
Oh,
You know?
it's become my new addiction.
But like what I used to do a lot was put jiu-jitsu over everything else in my life.
Okay.
And now there was some times where that was totally fine. Like when I was dealing with like some mental health kind of stuff, like, it was, I had like the sick time and whatever to take time off and just, work on myself.
Yeah.
But it gets to a point where it's like, you can't forget about the rest of your life.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if like, you got to pay your bills. You gotta, tend to your house. You gotta, if you're married or in a, serious relationship, you gotta put time into that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just saying this stuff because it's like little mistakes I've made.
Hey.
You get really caught up in this stuff, and it's just like you can't forget about the home base.
Right.
Jiu-jitsu's awesome, and I think it's great.
So it sounds to me as if it kind of became like an addiction that overtook your life, and you were putting too much time into that and not enough time everywhere else.
I was oblivious to everything else that was going on in my life. Like I was like getting there was at one point I was not going to work and I was going to train instead. And man, like
I wish I could do that.
I work at a prison, and sometimes it fucking sucks. Pardon my English, but
let's be real about that. If you work at a prison, you're basically in prison.
Yeah.
And you just get to go home at the end of the day.
Oh yeah,
so
I just get to go home for 16 hours. Like,
yeah, you're in that. You're living that.
If you're working nights, you're pretty much doing time there with them.
Right.
I mean, it's
that's kind of crazy to mentally absorb in the first place, because this is your job.
Yeah.
But you're in a prison.
Yeah, man.
For hours.
Yeah. Sometimes 16 hours.
That's crazy.
We get forced. I mean, it's gotten way better now, but like a couple of years ago, for whatever reason, they weren't like hiring people.
Okay.
And that's not just my agency. That is like a statewide thing. So HR, leave me alone. Anyways, so it was hard. Like we were getting forced left and right. Like when I say we get forced, like you have to stay and do another shift because someone either called in sick or maybe there's like a hospital trip out and that takes 2 officers off the line, and then they got to go deal with that. So now you need 2 more officers to like. Anyways, you got to fill those gaps, right?
Yeah,
Now you got more stuff you got to do, and I get it, man. It's like I feel for some of these administrators sometimes. They get thrown a shitstorm, if you will.
Yeah.
And they got, everyone's just kind of got to do the best they can. But it was pretty brutal for a while. The overtime was good. Don't get me wrong. The pay, when I did show up, the paychecks were pretty great. But it's just like it really kind of takes a toll on you after a while. Electromagnetically speaking, and a lot of people, they may not understand what I mean by that. We're electromagnetic beings, man,
yes.
And like science backs that up. Like everyone's got a vibe. Everyone's got an aura. Everybody. You can feel when someone walks in the room if they're like chill or not, or if it's someone like I don't know.
Yeah, you get a feeling.
And sometimes like you really got to still keep getting to know somebody, but like I mean, who knows, dude? Like it is what it is. That's a fact. And when you spend your day in darkness all the time and around like really sub intellect kind of like environments, and what I mean by that is you're around cons all day.
Yeah.
No one, maybe less than 0.1% Are they speaking proper English and, having
Oh.
a baller conversation? I've had some pretty good conversations with some guys that are locked up in there. You know what I mean? Like, not every day it works a bad day. Okay, I try to have a good day every time I go in there.
That's any place of work, though.
Well, a lot of my job is just talking to people, and
well,
just hearing their bullshit.
That's
But
that's a lot of my job
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I basically go around from. I'm not stuck in a prison. I am stuck in a restaurant. But at the end of the day, sometimes you're just a shoulder to lean on, or just an ear to listen. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's amazing how far that'll go for the other person that just needs to talk.
yeah,
So that's good. And any place of business, you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days.
oh yeah,
But to work at a prison and have to stay there for 16 hours, and then if someone calls out and they're like, "Hey, you gotta pull in a double," and now you've spent a day and a half in that place, you just did a day and a half of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
you
I
might
got paid for it. And it went towards
you
my
got
pension, but
yeah, but still,
yeah.
like, that's
didn't
a completely different type of employment to me just driving from restaurant to restaurant. Like,
Yeah.
it's got to be quite taxing on your mentalness.
Oh, yeah.
In a sense, because you're stuck in there, you're letting them out to yard time, you're doing all these things, but you're going through all of that, and I could understand where you would have some depression or stuff show up that you had to mentally work on, and now you're using jiu-jitsu as kind of like that escape.
Yeah, and
that's good.
I had to do what I had to do.
Mhm.
If any, I'm sure some of my coworkers and bosses will see this, and you know what, like, don't get upset with me because y'all do the same stuff. So, like, you got to do what you got to do to,
Yeah.
keep kicking in there. And a lot of the people that, I'm not trying to run my mouth, but a lot of people that run the show, and this isn't just where I work, this is kind of everywhere. It's a management thing. There's good managers and there's some not so great, but they're the boss at the end of the day. You got to respect that. I just want to put that out there first. But like, all these people, they don't understand is because they're not the ones doing it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Right.
And even though they may have used to have done it, they're not doing it all the time. They're not there every day. They're not dealing with 2024 cons when they were dealing with maybe 2013 cons, and then they got promoted and climbed the ladder, maybe forgot where they came from and came back. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, they forget sometimes. This shit is taxing on you. You will, if you do this job, if you're a correction officer and, you do that for a living, props to you. The best cops, by the way, are former correction officers.
Interesting.
They're the best. Like, we rock at putting handcuffs on people because we do that shit all the time.
Oh.
It's like jiu-jitsu, just repetition through everything.
Yep.
That's how you get good at it. You become less scared of altercations the more you break up or the more you have to de-escalate. Most of my career has been de-escalation.
Oh, really?
I have rarely ever had to put hands on somebody, and I am very proud of that.
That's awesome.
Not many people in my line of work can be like, yeah, I barely ever have to put hands on somebody.
Wow.
What? I'm not trying to sound like a cocky prick saying that, but it's just like, you really should try to strive to use that verbal judo, but, at the same time, somebody wants to get down, they can come get it.
Yeah.
And,
well, you've had a couple altercations in there. You've had to do some stuff.
Yeah, I've had to break up some fights.
The only reason I'm bringing that up is because I remember you hurting your knee in one of those type of situations.
Jiu-Jitsu helped me there too. So
Did it?
yeah, big time. If it wasn't for that, I probably would have got rolled on my back by a guy 3 times my size. And he wasn't, for the record, he wasn't trying to fight me. It was a 2-on-1 fight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the premise behind it, but it was a 2-on-1 fight. The guy I was trying to restrain, he was winning.
Oh.
He was the one of the 2-on-1. So he was fighting back 2 people, and I'm trying to tell him, yo, calm down. Like, it's over. And he's like fighting. I get it. When you're in the moment like that, I understand.
Hey, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Just because that is so true. Because if it wasn't for the clock on the mats when we train, I probably wouldn't stop.
Oh no, it's
right?
totally normal.
Because you're in it.
Yeah.
You're going, but we hear that bell, we know to stop.
Right, but where are we also when that's happening? We're in class.
We're in class.
We're not
True.
in a
right.
penal institution.
But there's no indication that it's over for him except for you trying to tell him that, and his brain is so clouded with the adrenaline and everything else that, like, you know, you're right. It's hard for them to put the brakes on.
Yeah.
So that's where you had to step in.
And he's probably thinking, I'm fighting for my life over here. I don't know if these dudes got shanks or whatever, which they did not, by the way, just saying. But that sometimes happens in there, and that's something you got to be aware of.
Now, see, I've got to ask this. I've got to ask. So is there any show out there today that represents this well? Like you know how people got into the black is the new orange.
Oh, orange is the new black?
Yeah, that's what I meant. And then my wife watched some women prison show, and it wasn't bad.
I can't speak on women's prisons because I work at a men's facility.
Right, but is there? But are they even remotely close to what actually happens?
I can't speak for Orange is the New Black because I haven't really watched that.
Oh, okay.
But I probably should. I actually think there's a lot of insight, especially if you work in corrections. There's a lot of insight to that stuff. There's this one show on YouTube. It's called Fresh Out with Big Herc.
Okay.
This guy did time in the feds, and he like his show is pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Like he when I first started my job, I watched that show and I learned a lot about like prison slang and certain things. Oh,
interesting. Okay.
And he's like telling you, like, if you're gonna be a CO, like, you know, don't be a dickhead to these guys. I mean, like, if you're gonna be a dickhead, or excuse me, a jerk, or that's not even the right word either. If you're gonna not be polite to these guys,
you're gonna be stern.
They have to earn it. You can't just come out the gate being a friggin' jerk to these guys because they're doing time. They're human beings too.
I see where you're going.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
You can't be an asshole out the gate. They have to earn it. Otherwise, the community that's locked up in there is not going to respect you.
Okay.
And you need that to survive in there.
I was going to say because
it's going to be a long 8 hours for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Not only is it going to be a long 8 hours, but if I'm not mistaken, and this is mostly from TV shows that I've grasped this, although I did encounter it when I was locked up, people do not like it when you are leaving. So, you know what I mean?
When you're like going back on the street?
Right.
You mean? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so like
depends.
When I was getting out, I was told by the person that let me know that I was getting out, they were like, do not say a word to anybody.
Yeah, don't.
Go back to your room, go to your bunk, and do whatever you need to make the next whatever hours you have left pass by and stay out of everybody's fucking way. And I was like, oh, okay. And this was like the second time I had been locked up. So I'm like,
Can I tell you something crazy?
So for
it's
you
like
guys,
it's
you
like
guys
that
get
if
to
you
go
work
home.
there too. It's like that if you work there.
That's
too.
what I was just about to get to.
If you want to go try and get a new job or be a cop or something, oh my God, dude.
But like even the prisoners watch you guys.
Yeah.
Exit, go home, come back, do all these things. And it's like, I wonder if they have the same animosity towards you guys as they do towards other inmates that get to go back to the streets.
Not really.
No.
I mean, unless you like, you kind of bust somebody's balls too hard. Excuse me. They'll kind of come back at you and they'll be like, you know what, man? Like, you just shouldn't treat people like that. At least you get to go home every night. And some of these dudes that say that stuff, I will tell you right now, 7 out of 10 times, they can shut up. Like, you did what you did to earn where you are. You know, I don't know why the guy is giving you a hard time. That's between you and him. But like some of these dudes, they actually, most of them, they deserve to be where they are.
Yeah.
When COVID happened and we let a ton of people out of jail, which, you know, may not have been the best decision.
I don't think it was a very good decision.
I mean, we had guys that were coming in for like alleged sex crimes, and they were getting out the next day on the bracelet because of COVID.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because they didn't want to keep them
First
in?
time offense, but like, you know, at the same time, dude, like, I'm sorry, this dude, whatever. I'm not a judge or anything. I'm just a correction officer who's
I mean,
deputized and
not.
stuff.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. I have police powers too, but we can't really like use them. I mean, it's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing.
Interesting.
Because you don't want to step on the toes of the jurisdiction you're in. Like I work in the town of Weston a lot, Weston, Mass, and they like if I end up in a situation where there's a police activity is about to happen and I have to initiate something, I'm calling them on the radio.
Oh, wow.
To have them come deal with it. Or I'm doing a detail, you know what I mean? Like I'm supposed to be doing that. If I need police work, I'm going to call the police.
Oh,
I'm not going to stop
really?
what I'm doing to arrest somebody. Unless like a felony happens in my presence right in front of me, then you have to do something. You got to know what you're doing. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. So like I've gone through a lot of training, a lot of school to be able to do that stuff. Actually doing it's called the Bridge Academy right now because after the whole George Floyd thing,
Okay.
Massachusetts was like, we're going to take things a step further and get rid of all reserve certified police officers in the state and make them all have to be full-time certified, which is really only like Worcester and east of that.
Oh, okay.
That is full-time. Like everybody is pretty much full-time certified. So police officers have two kinds of certifications. You have a part-time and a full-time. The part-time or reserve or special, at least in Massachusetts. I can't really speak for other states. I can speak for Massachusetts. So I've been working there doing this for 7 years now. So.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, the detail, like deputy sheriff side of things, I've been doing that for like 6. So after I got off my probation year as a CO, I was able to, do the reserve academy and I'll get deputized and do details and make extra money. That's really all it is.
Wow.
I'm not a police officer, but it's like I'm trained and certified as one.
Which is so
it's weird.
Interesting.
In Massachusetts,
That's weird, huh?
the sheriff's departments, they have their thing is corrections at the county level. So we get all kinds of people. I hate saying so much.
Don't worry about that.
But anywhere between like a DUI to a murder charge on the innocent until proven guilty side. So a detainee, all right, you've allegedly committed this crime. We get anybody for that, and we hold you until, your next court date.
Yep.
Unless you can make bail, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then we have the House of Corrections side, which is sentence people.
Yep.
And we don't really do sentences longer than 2.5 years at a time. You could really, have a shitty record, though, and piss off the judge and get what's called a on and after sentence instead of concurrent. Concurrent, like if you get multiple sentences and the judge gives it to you concurrent, you serve say you got 3 2.5 bids, and the judge said you can serve that concurrently. That means you're serving all of those bids at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If you do on and after, that means you got to do 1 2.5, then the next 2.5, then the next 2.5, or 3, or whatever the case may be. Maybe it's 18 months. Depends on what the charge is.
But you still don't leave. Right?
No, but we had a kid who was with us for like 4 years and some change because he was doing it. He got good time. You can get good time and stuff if you go to prison, at least in Mass, at least. But you got to do programs. Like you got to put in the work. You can't just lay in your cell all day. You know what I mean? I've worked on every shift.
Interesting.
So I kind of have some decent insight as to how that stuff works. We have tons of programs. At least they get tablets now. Jail is almost not even a deterrent anymore. It's insane. Oh man, I probably shouldn't even be saying any of this stuff, but it's just like,
well, anything you want me to cut out, I'll cut out.
But I just, it's kind of sad. When I was growing up, jail used to be like I was terrified of going to jail.
Me too.
I've never been to jail other than for employment.
Well, good for you.
I've never been arrested.
Oh.
I'm sure there's times maybe it should have been, but didn't happen. So thank God.
I've been arrested 4 or 5 times, and I've been locked up 3. So
we all make mistakes, man.
Yeah, we do.
It's how you conduct yourself afterwards, and in the process of, I don't know, being in jail, I guess. So some people they're in jail and they don't make things any better for themselves.
No.
And I get it. It's like, how do you pass time in there? It sucks. I mean, I I would hate to be in their shoes. I'm grateful that I get to leave, and when I do go
Right.
in there, I'm getting paid pretty good for it. So, you know,
Yeah.
but just to go back to answer your question from
Yeah.
earlier,
Yeah.
I think 60 Days In is a pretty good show to
Okay.
represent kind of the stuff that goes on in there. Because, like, I saw an episode of that one time, and you had people making communications devices, and they were able to speak through the toilet pipes.
Oh, okay.
You know, you had, like, one facility had the males were on one floor and the females were on another floor. And you had dudes, you know, getting their little cell girlfriend from downstairs to, like, they're passing stuff through the pipes too, like fish line. And these folks will, when there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
Is what I'm getting at. And if these folks want to figure out how to, you know, make their lives not suck, even when they're incarcerated, they'll do it. And I props to them, man. That's like some serious mental resilience.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we used to talk.
at the same
through
time,
the
you should
vents.
try not to go to jail. You should try not to.
Yeah, you should try not to go.
Don't
to jail.
get caught
Yes.
doing stupid stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I don't advocate for being a criminal at all. But if you're gonna do something stupid, don't get caught.
I mean, well,
I mean, you shouldn't do anything stupid.
no, you
anyways.
shouldn't do anything stupid. But let's be real: the amount that you have to do to actually be arrested today is actually a lot more than it
Depends.
used to be.
I don't know. It depends, because if you go protest peacefully in some parts of the country, you know, you can't get arrested at all, even if you loot the stores.
But if I go to
if
yeah,
you and me go
that's
do
what I'm
that
saying.
though, we're getting thrown in jail. So
Are we?
I don't know. I think so. Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking like you can go down and just steal under $1,000 worth of shit, and they're just gonna give you a smack on the hand.
It's just something I noticed. It's kind of like how, like, the good people, like good people. If you were to like break down, like, you know what, screw the system. I've had enough of this, and you went and go and did that because you're a good person. You're going to be held accountable for that.
Yeah.
And that's the way the systems work. That's the way this matrix, whatever this reality we live in right now, that's how it's working right now. It's kind of inverted and on its head. You know,
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe a magician's got something to do with that. I don't know. Because if we were not decent people and we went out and did that stuff, we'd probably get away with it. They get away with it all the time.
Yeah.
I've seen
true.
people locked up, you know, where I've heard like what happened to them as they got arrested and stuff, like crazy stuff, and they earned it. It's just like, dude, how are you still alive? You shoot drugs like crazy all the time. You friggin' sleep around with like all the how are you still alive, dude? And
right?
It's just like they're like some people. This is gonna sound mean, but it's like they're like cockroaches.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I completely agree.
You know, God
with
forgive
you.
me, but like it's just like I don't understand.
No forgiveness needed because it's true. It's so crazy. It's like
I mean, I'm not perfect, man. You know,
no, but look at who's that singer that's done like all the drugs, and they were like,
which one?
And they were like, oh, well, we're gonna have to wait to smoke his ashes. You know what I mean? Like, because they've done so much, but yet they're still alive.
Yeah.
And then you look at the people that you thought were still gonna be alive, and they're like all dead, and you're like, what the fuck, dude?
Doesn't make sense.
How did you survive doing all of that? You know what I mean? Where most people just like fell off. So
Well, the
it
Lord-
happens.
Jesus loves sinners, you know, so he's always walking with them, trying to give them another chance. I think.
Yeah, is that what
It's
it
gotta
is?
be. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody deserves another chance.
Right.
You know, I
Right.
make mistakes all the time. Like,
I don't know, man. I think about like if I was to ever do that, I'm like, I'd be dead. I'd be
Yeah.
dead. I'd be one of those dead people.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And it's just like that's why when my addiction finally switched over and became jiu-jitsu, I was like, oh, okay, I can't go to jail because of this. I'm not gonna crash my car because of it. I'm like, this is a good addiction. You know?
You can go to jail if you use that stuff. Just, but you're right. I'm just saying, like, if you use that on the street, you got to be very careful.
You do.
You got to be very careful because, and it's honestly, it's really not fair because guys like you and me, we're probably just minding our own business. If God forbid that were to ever like a situation like that ever were to happen, we're just trying to probably get to our car or our house or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to know when to, I don't know. It's always better to just walk away from something,
Yes, of course it is.
You know?
If you're capable of doing
If you're
it.
capable of doing it, always walk away. It's just fighting hurts.
Well, it
You know?
does. The only nice thing about where, at least for me, where I'm at today, yes, I'm always going to try and walk away. Yes, I'm always going to try and, alleviate the tension and the pressure and do those things. But at the same time, if hands get thrown, I'm not exactly worried about it anymore,
No,
which is a very nice place for me to be because I've never been here.
Right.
And it's almost like I'm like, oh, okay. So because I feel this way, I actually hold it even closer to me than I used to, because I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen now, because if I just go off, I don't know where my body's going to take me. I don't know what training is going to kick in. I don't know what could happen in the moment of protecting myself or someone that I love. And it's like, okay, so because I don't know exactly what's going to happen, that means there is a potential chance to really hurt somebody.
Yes.
So therefore, I try even harder to settle the situation. But I will be upfront and honest. If you strike me, I'm going to fucking hurt you.
Right.
Period.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
not care. But you have to definitely make that first move.
Right.
And as long as you make the first move, I'm not going to give a shit if you're crying because you have a broken fucking arm.
That's it, man.
Not going to cry at
and
all.
I'm glad, you brought that up, the whole them making the first move thing, because that's really where I was going with this, is because I don't want people to end up in jail because they defended themselves. You know what I mean? That's messed up. But that, unfortunately, is the way the Matrix is working right now.
Yes.
The good guy gets punished and the bad guy gets rewarded. And that's really all where I was going with that is, do your thing. If somebody throws hands at you, you
game on.
You do what you got to do.
That's
and
it.
You finish that. All right? Just don't kill the guy.
Right.
If, hey, but you know what? If they're trying to kill you and they say, I'm going to kill you, then, hey, you got to protect yourself. It's either you or them.
At the end of the day, you have to protect yourself. You don't know what that person's going through. You don't know the reason for it, and it could be for no reason at all.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have to be able to protect yourself, period. And if somebody is hitting you or does something that makes you feel unsafe, you have to be able to protect yourself. But when we are in this position that we are in, we have to be way more mindful about the situation and how to deactivate that situation as quickly as possible to get away from it before we get into the point where we're actually combating with the other person because of where we are today.
Yeah.
And if we didn't think this way, then I almost believe that you're treating the art incorrectly. You're treating it with disrespect.
Yes.
When you are going out looking for fights, when you're going out and looking for these things, and you have all of this training, that is where I know plenty of people that have done that, and it's fine. That's them. But for me, I hold it to the highest respect, and so therefore, when anything like that comes across my way, or if I feel a particular way about something, I have to double check myself, and I go, wait a minute, slow down. This February at Slow Down Clothing, the ultimate destination for all the tattoo-inspired fashion you've been searching for. Heading to slowdownclothing.bigcartel.com is the first step in unlocking a world of breathtaking art and incredible style. But wait, there's more. With the exclusive promo code TOPHER, you can enjoy a remarkable 10% off your entire purchase. Yes, you heard that right. A whole 10% off just for using the code TOPHER at checkout. Our inventory is constantly growing, with fresh designs and styles making their way to our shelves regularly. Whether you're treating yourself or searching for the perfect gift for your loved ones during the upcoming holiday season, Slow Down Clothing has something for everyone. And with Valentine's Day just around the corner, there's no better time to revel in our mesmerizing collection. We take pride in curating a selection that captures the essence of tattoo culture, showcasing the incredible artistry and creativity of tattoo-inspired brands. Each piece tells us a unique story, making your fashion statement the true work of art. At Slow Down Clothing, you'll find much more than just garments. You'll discover an entire lifestyle woven into each design. So why wait? Visit slowdownclothing.bigcartel.com and experience the magic for yourself. Remember, the promo code TOPHER is your ticket to unlocking that irresistible 10% discount at checkout. Embrace the uniqueness, celebrate the art, and indulge in the allure of Slow Down Clothing today. Turning a brown belt has been probably the best achievement of my life.
Congratulations again.
Thank you, brother. It's been
wicked proud of you.
It still doesn't feel real. But the purple belt is hanging behind me now, so there it is. But it's also like now I'm at a different complete stage. And it's like, oh, okay, now I got to think about things a lot more, because now I've noticed that, like, in class and stuff, they're like having me help people, right? And so I have to be more mindful of what I'm doing, because now I'm not just doing it for myself. I'm doing it for a new white belt. You know, and it's like now my training has increased because all these guys are like, oh, okay, you're the new brown belt, so this is how it's gonna be. They're coming for me, and they put me through everything, and I'm like, oh wow, it's crazy. So it's exciting to be at this level, but it's also like kind of scary to be at this level, because they're going to expect more of you, right? You got to be able to help out with new students. You have to be courteous. You have to do all these things, lead by example. And it's like, yeah, was I doing that when I was blue? Yes. Was I doing that when I was purple? Yes. But for some reason, when I got this belt, it kind of changed a little bit more for me. And I went, whoa, this is really, it's kind of cool. It's fun.
Like a sense of responsibility now.
It's like when we saw Drew come in with the black belt, and he went to go stand in line.
He's awesome.
And you're like, yeah, it's like, no. You don't get to stand in line with us anymore, bro. You're up at the front of the class.
Sometimes
now,
they do, though. Like
they do, and I'm not saying that.
But yeah, I get what you're saying.
But you know what I mean? Yeah. Like he's trying to get used to his new role.
Yeah.
On the mats with us, and his new role is to sit up front and watch us do technique, and like he has to get used to that. And now my role is shifted to what Drew used to do, which was help all the white belts and help the newer, younger people in the lower ranks. We're there. They were there to help bring them up. Now they're also still there to help them bring them up, but now I get to play in that role.
Yeah.
And man, what a difference. It's just such a good feeling. I'm not saying that, like, it was bad or any of this is negative. I'm just saying that, like, it's more than what I thought it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's
now
a good thing.
It is a good thing. I love responsibility. I've been chasing it my whole entire life, and being a latchkey kid, you learn what responsibility is quite quickly and very young.
Yeah.
So that doesn't exist anymore, because that's child abuse, which is fucking retarded, but it is what it is. And that's today's society. So, but I believe that when you're at that point and you're at a certain level, that's where you have to really start thinking, because it's not impossible for me to hurt people today. It's just not.
It wasn't impossible for you to hurt people yesterday either. It just,
I mean, before this, I thought it was.
I get you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now it's like, it's embedded in me. I do it 3 days a week, and I go to my training, I do my thing, and I know that it's helping me be a better person than I was. But I also know that when an altercation comes across my way, that I have to really stand back, think, and try to diffuse before I make a move, because, it could be something where, you don't want to be the person to make the first move and have it be a really bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You don't want to put yourself in that situation because now you were the striker, not the one that got struck.
Right.
So you do have to be very cautious about what you're doing, but at the same time, you should never feel that you can't protect yourself.
Yeah, I agree.
But our society is fucked up and our laws are really messed up, and they do benefit criminals more than it benefits the innocent.
Mm-hmm.
I feel.
No, right now that is the case.
Yeah.
You know,
That's how I see it too. But I mean, you know, seeing you compete, and it always amps me up. I love watching everybody compete because I'm like, man,
thanks, man.
you know, it's really cool for you to get out there. I mean, my brother-in-law competes. We know all the, you know, everybody who competes in our school and stuff. And I'm just like, when you guys are training for that, it's just such a different energy. You know, it's not quite the wrestler energy, but you notice the amount of effort and all the exertion that you're putting in to get yourself to where you got yesterday, which was gold and silver, which is absolutely hands down very, very impressive. Because for me, I'm still gonna stand on the sidelines and just keep doing what I'm doing. I just. Man, I tried to defend an armbar today, and like I just feel electricity going up through my shoulder into my neck, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna go compete. I'm gonna get hurt. I'm too old.
All right.
So I love watching all you guys do this stuff. It really does impress me. I think it's amazing, and I probably should just shut up and start doing it. But maybe one day. Maybe one day. It's like I really wish I had started competing when I was a white belt so that I could have had some competing through the ranks.
Yeah.
And to just jump into it as a brown belt, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, competing is like it's I'm telling you, man, if you really want to know where you stand with like other in your belt level, I guess.
Yeah.
You should go compete. You know what I mean? Like you should go see who else is out there. I like to go visit my friends at other schools and get that other energy out there. You know, Professor Tim's been very, very supportive of me going to do that kind of stuff. I always ask if you're going to, by the way, if you train jiu-jitsu and you're watching this episode and you're listening, if you're going to go train at other schools, you should tell your professor. You should have that conversation. You should, give your professor that respect and be like, hey, is it all right if I go train at this place? I'm telling you, if they're a good professor or like, they're going to say, yeah, they're not going to have an issue with that. I mean, like, as long as you come back, right? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Make sure you come back. That's all.
Yeah.
Like, just be respectful. Ask ahead of time, hey, is it all right if I go do this? They're going to say, yeah. Why would they say no? You know what I mean?
Something that,
and if they say no, you should probably find another place to train. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If you're training with somebody like that who only is okay with you training under them, you might want to find somewhere else to go.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Because like you should, it's good to go and see what else. Because you train with the same people at your academy all the time. Like you're gonna get used to that energy, or you're gonna get used to their game. Like if you really want to. And don't get me wrong, it's okay. It's fine to stay where you're at. If you don't want to go visit other schools, don't. Stay at your academy. Have a good time. But if you do want to go out and see what else is out there, obviously tell your professor, ask your professor first.
Mm-hmm.
Ask ahead of time with the professor at the school you're going to visit. Make sure it's all right. If there's a mat fee, square that away, whatever you got to do.
Oh,
and
okay.
make sure you go up, introduce yourself, shake hands with the professor who's, letting you come train at their school, and make sure you're respectful to their students. Don't go in there trying to kill anybody.
Right,
if they're trying to kill you though, don't give it back. You know what I mean? You really got to feel it out.
Yes.
Like I went to Triumph in Nashville one time with my buddy, James Irving, and he's really great. He's a blue belt. He's really awesome. He competes too sometimes. I think he's taking a break right now, but I'm excited to see him get back into it one of these days. He's a really good guy.
Yeah.
So I went with him to his school, and I was still a blue belt at the time, and I shook hands with Professor John over there and everything. And by the end of it, my friend James came up to me. He's like, "Yeah, you were like the only guest who went up there and and did that. He really appreciated that.
Really?
So, like, that kind of stuff goes a long way. Like if you're a white belt, blue belt, whatever, even if you're a higher belt, if you want to go visit someone else's school, just make sure you do that kind of stuff. You know, you represent your professor no matter where you go, and you're wearing their patch. You know, you got to remember that. You can't just go to someone else's school and then, you know, try to knee bar everybody or do this crazy, you know. Don't be a jerk. Be
respectful if you're visiting. I used to love going to Plastow. I know it's still within the BJJ Start Academy, but still, it was a different energy.
They got a great crew over there.
Oh, I mean, Rick is great. The school is great. The classmates,
Shout out
they're all
Professor
great.
Rick. He had an awesome nogi match recently.
Yeah, I saw that. It didn't go his way, but I am working on getting him back on to the podcast. So I want to get him on before the end of the year. Him and Brendan, now that Brendan's UFC fighter.
Oh, yeah.
Official signed, yeah. So I'm trying to get them both back on, but a little fourth wall there. But yeah, so the way that I see it is that, like, you should always be respectful. I've never heard of a mat fee, so that's interesting to me. I didn't know. Do some schools charge for you to come on and play the day?
I've never had to
okay.
deal with any of that. I do know it is a thing at some places. You know, that's why you got to call ahead and just you know,
interesting.
Check in. I've never had that. I mean,
because mine was only inter school, so there was no fee. It was just that if I chose to go to Plastow, there was no attendance mark.
Oh yeah.
So for years, I used to do 2 classes in Derry and 1 in Plastow, and I was only getting 2 marks.
Oh yeah.
For years, dude. It was so funny because I was like, I'm doing 3 days a week, but I got one that's a secret. You know what I mean? It was so funny, and I loved it so much. But unfortunately, with the new job and everything, I had to go to Derry full time. But I've noticed so many people going from different schools and training with different people, and that energy, like you said, is so much different from what you're used to all the time. So you actually start playing into people's games in your class. And whether you're playing into their game or you're trying to figure a way around their game, it's still their game. Yeah. So it's always, and it could be different from person to person, of course. Everybody's got a different game that they're playing. But you get used to all of the games that are played amongst your classmates. So therefore, I could see, even though your growth is always growing, I could see how it would almost feel stagnant. And that's probably why sometimes when we get promoted, we go, really? Like, because for me, I definitely have noticed, like, when I got my brown belt, all right, I'll use this as an example. It's a fair example. So I'm going, and Mason, kept looking at me. I noticed he kept looking at me, and I was like, he's looking at me like, I know something you don't know. You know what I mean? One of those looks.
He's good at that.
And I was like, what's he doing that for? And then, like, we get into the rolling and the randori, and all of a sudden he's like, all right, I want you against him, and him. And I was just like, okay. And I ended up, like, in a match, and I got tapped just from pressure. And I was so mad at myself, but I don't acknowledge that. I don't smack the mats. I don't do any of those things. In my mind, I'm already broken. And I'm like, God damn it. I had to tap because I couldn't fucking breathe. This is so embarrassing.
I've done that too, by the way.
And then I get done with that match. I get it. Yeah, right? But it's still...
I mean, you want to keep doing it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I torture myself in my sauna to try and get over that. But so
don't beat yourself up too hard.
No, I know, but I want to be better with that. I want to be better when Professor Tim is crushing my fucking face, when I allowed him, not that I allow him, but I always put myself on my back and I allow people into my guard, into side control. It's definitely a problem of mine that I'm slowly working on. And he gladly pointed it out to me as he's crushing me. But I went up against somebody else. We had a good match. I got definitely thrown around a little bit. And then I went to my next one. I ended up getting tapped. So it was just like smash, 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 smash. And so the whole time I'm like, Jesus Christ, you know, you get up and you're getting ready for class to end, and you're just mentally like, oh yeah, that was awful. You know, I was all over the place. I definitely shouldn't have let this, you know what I mean? So you get into your head, and then you're standing up there and they give you a new belt.
Well, you earned it.
Right. You do earn it.
You've put your time on the mats.
But the mentality at that very moment was, what I could be doing so much better, you know. But according to what I'm wearing around my waist, that a couple of those things should not have happened, right? But then they promote you, and I just sat there and I went. I mean, I cried. I will be honest. I cried when I got my brown belt, and you should, because it's a lot of hard work. This doesn't. They're not just giving these things.
One hell of an achievement, man.
They are not giving this shit away. And I'm not saying that they are, but what I'm saying is that no matter how bad you feel about how you're progressing in your game, in your life, in anything, you don't always know how well you're actually doing. Yeah. And that is what got pointed out to me. I just told you, smashed, and then they promote you. And you're like, huh? But at the same time, they know. Right. They watch. Professor they see. Always knows. They always know. And it's like, I understand that we're not always going to know. And I'm also working on the simple fact that I do belong where I am. But that's something I'm working on personally, because I have this problem with my brain accepting where I am today and being happy with it. And that's nobody's fault except for my own, but that's because I spent 20-something years not being a good person. So when good things start happening, I'm like, ooh, what did I, you know, what? I'm always waiting for that other foot to drop. You know what I mean? So, but it was an amazing feeling. I still am amazed by it. I pull that thing out of my bag and I'm like, my God, it's real. It's real. It's real. It's real. But to get there is not always going to be this like fairy tale. You know what I mean? You're not going to be at a 4th degree purple belt. You're not going to be crushing everybody in front of you.
Shit happens.
It just happens. You know what I mean? Like, your progression is not based off of tapping people out. No. It's not based off of your cardio. It's based off of your will. I think a lot of it is based off of our will to push ourselves. And the more you push yourself, the better you become at anything, not just jiu-jitsu. You have to push yourself in anything that you're doing to become better at that thing. And the nice part about that is that even though you are putting in the work and you're putting in the time and you're putting in all of that energy, the one thing I love about jiu-jitsu is that it's not up to me when I move forward. And I like that a lot, because I like to not have control of everything, being a control freak. Sometimes giving up that control and having somebody else show you that you did it is even more rewarding than when I'm doing my podcast and I know that I've done the upgrades and I know that the upgrades are good. But I know that they're good because I just did them. But I'm always upgrading myself on the mats. But I never, you don't see it as much as you want to. Now, going off of that,
you may not see it, but I mean, some of us have seen
it. That's
I keep, busting your balls.
You always bust my balls.
Wow, pressure Chris is here, like, and that's
so
because
funny.
You've been doing this. There's been a lot more pressure in your game, and like you're a killer, man.
And again, I don't notice that. Because I'm like, oh, I got to get more pressure, because I want to feel like Professor Tim feels on me. And I know I'm never going to get that.
Don't say never. It just takes time.
Well,
that's what he would tell you.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to be.
But I know what you mean, man.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
I want to be his size. You know what I mean? I want to be Miguel's size. I think as a smaller person, like, you always want to be what you're not. You're always kind of, I'm always, and let me personalize this because it is just me and the way I feel about things is that like, I'm just never happy. I'm never happy with myself because I spent so long just where I was. And now I see, the progression that I've gone through, but I'm still the person mentally that I was. So I never see anything as a good thing. I always see, okay, you did this, but you got to keep doing more. You got to keep going further. You got to keep doing better, because if I don't have that mentality, I start taking steps backwards. So I'm always pushing myself, and I'm never happy with anything. I've even told plenty of people that have watched this podcast, and they're like, man, I really like that episode you did, and blah, 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 blah. And I'll be like, oh, man, really? Whew, I almost deleted that whole thing and threw it out. And they're
I know what you're saying.
And they're like, what? And I'm like, oh, I hated every moment of that. And it's like, those are the things that are interesting to me. That's why I like it, that my promotions and all my ranks are in their hands.
Yeah.
Because I like that, because it takes that little bit away from me that I don't have to worry about.
It's really validating too, you know?
It really is. And it's like when I do this and I put up something and then people are like, I really like that. And the whole time I'm editing it and getting ready to put it up, I'm like, this should be deleted and nobody should see this. And yet I actually get good responses on it. So it's so weird how the world works. But jiu-jitsu is amazing, and it just it is now, my life. It is my life as much as it's your life, and we're just learning how to live life in a better way today. And jiu-jitsu really does help with that.
It does. I think self-love is a very important thing. Like Jesus said, there's really only 2 laws, like before in the Old Testament, there's all these laws. You got to sacrifice the bull love God, love your neighbor. And, that's basically it. And, I'm trying to remember where I was going with this, but you're saying how, you can't really figure out, self-love. So love God, love your neighbor, and then treat yourself right,
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure if Jesus exactly said that, but I'm sure somewhere in there, you got to, take care of yourself. You got to have some love for yourself. You got to tell yourself, you know what, I did a good job. This product, sure, I could find something wrong with it here, and there, and try to make it better. The fact is, you're trying to make it better. And that's a great thing. That's like some people, they'll just be like, it's fine the way it is, and that's good for them. But you want something more. That's fine too, as long as you take a second to stop and appreciate. And that's for yourself, and you deserve it, man.
I have a lot of trouble with that.
You've been through so much, and you based on your story, what you've told me, over the years. I'm so proud of you, man. You've really, you're such a good example that just because you made some mistakes, or even if it was over the span of a long period of time, you can still come back. You can still make it right. And it's all going to be okay. And
that is a very good message for everybody out there. It really is.
It is like that, it's really hard to think of it like that when you're going through it.
Right.
It's just when everything around you just kind of sucks. It's really hard to stop and be like, man, what should I be grateful for?
But I don't do that as much as I should. I've even noticed when I'm just going day in, day out, there's no moment in time where I stop and just enjoy what's going on.
It's easier said than done. Okay, I have my struggles with it every day. Every day I go to work, that's where I try to practice that, because, if I just think about, job sucks and everything just, and I didn't get to do this today, and, then your day is going to suck.
Mm-hmm.
But if you turn that shit around and you think about the things you have to be grateful for, and you think to yourself, you know what, man, like I might have made some mistakes about this or that, but you know what, I've also made a transformation, and I've come back, and I've seeked forgiveness here and there wherever I did the best I could, and I got to keep moving forward. Everything's gonna be all right.
Yeah,
That's it. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, it's so much easier said than done, though.
It really is so much easier said than done. I mean, I don't know.
You just get to a point where, like, for me, I've gotten to a point now where I am seeing more good than negative. And as of this moment in time, I'm starting to kind of see around the corner in a sense. So now I'm trying to exercise these other things into my life a little bit more than I ever have. Because I was like, well, even though I know I'm on the right path, everybody keeps telling me I'm doing a good job. That's great, but I need to get to a certain point in order for me to start feeling that way. And this November will be 8 years. I mean, this September will be 8 years for me. So we're getting really close to that decade. And for me, that is definitely, even though getting my brown belt was definitely my most accomplishing achievement, staying off of alcohol for a decade is definitely my goal that I've set for myself. And one of my friends told me I wasn't allowed to talk too much shit until I've hit a decade. So I'm really looking forward to being able to talk all the shit that I tried talking in my first year.
I got you.
And he was like, "It's your first year." No. And I was like, and he's like, "You wait a decade." And I was like, you know what? I wrote it all down, and I was like, I can't wait. I'm going to get that 10-year, and I'm going to say all of this. But so I've set little goals and reminders, but again, it's coming on to 8 years. So at this point in time, if I'm not standing back and appreciating all the hard work that I've done and actually absorbing all the good that's happening now, then what was it for? Right? What are you doing? What are you doing? Because you're not allowing the good to make you feel good. You're still feeling bad, but now you're doing good and not bad things. So I started thinking about it probably a couple months ago, and I was like, man, I think I'm almost being negative towards my sobriety from alcohol, in a sense, because I'm not appreciating it. I'm not looking at it. I'm not enjoying it. I'm not enjoying all the positives that have happened in my life since I gave it up. So what am I doing? I'm still mentally battling myself. It's just like when I was on the mats and I was feeling uncomfortable or I felt a certain way. It was like I was still getting in my way of allowing my game to progress because my mindset was I'm still this. And it's like, no, you're not that anymore. You're now this. So you have to let go of all of that. And you just need to accept what you are and be happy with it. Because if I stay in the negative, well then, yeah, sure, you're still a blue belt in your mind. Now you're just wearing the brown belt. But you're a brown belt. You're not a blue belt. So you need to start thinking like a brown belt and start accepting the fact that you are a brown belt. Just like I need to accept that I'm not drinking anymore. And it's been almost 8 years since I've been separated. So be fucking happy about all the good shit happening in your life. And that is really difficult for me. So finding that nice plateau where you can do those things, it's not easy. Just like getting off an addiction is not easy. Just like getting on the mats is not easy because nobody wants to be hurt or embarrassed. All of these things are not easy. But when you put in the work and they're working, you have to be able to accept it.
That's it.
You have to. Because I just started thinking this way. You know what I mean? Like this isn't, I've been wanting to think this way for a long time now, but it wasn't until a couple months ago where it actually clicked and I went, no, this has got to stop. I've got to get out of my own way on the mats. I got to get out of my own way in life. I've just got to get out of my own way. This thing up here has this way of blockading us and keeping us where we are, whether we want to be or not. You got to break that open. You really do have to accept where and what you are today. And once I do that, I feel like I'm going to be a better person. And that's the next step that I'm working on in my life, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why I get so excited when you guys compete and do these things, because I'm like, man, that's crazy. But it's not. It's not. I'm in my own head telling myself it's crazy that you can do that when you just sat there and was like, go do that. And I'm like, no, that's crazy. It's not. I'm in my own way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure, man. And if you ever do want to compete, you know, you'll be competing at brown belt.
Yeah.
We will help you get ready.
Yeah, I know you will. I know you will.
You know, let's make sure we take enough time to get you ready for it.
Going back to the promotions, I heard something recently that really sunk with me. And I think that's what really started helping me feel and think the way that I'm thinking right now. They were saying how some schools promote late. And nobody, the reason they brought it up is because there was something about somebody being promoted too early. There's, I don't know if she's a fighter or what, but she's training at some school. Don't know the name of the school. Don't care. Supposedly got her purple belt in 2 years.
Oh, you're talking about Giselle Bundchen?
I think maybe. You might be right.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
So, I don't know. She got her purple belt in 2 years. And then I saw this thing that was like, you know, promotions early or late. And the consensus was getting promoted late is actually more beneficial to you and your school. Because when they promote late, you're more than ready, right? So if you go to another school, you should be more than ready in your rank to work with those same ranks. But if they promote early and you're not ready, and then you go to another school and you compete,
and you get smashed.
And now you're going to be questioning yourself, your school, and everything else.
Yeah.
And there is a possible chance that school's going to be like, how'd you get that belt?
Yeah.
So
who's giving these, you know?
Right.
And that's the thing too. A purple belt, like, there's no fake purple belts.
No.
You know, there's no fake purple belts. I don't mean to quote Joe Rogan, but like if someone's giving you a purple belt,
yes,
you earned that, man. Like you beat the blue belt blues. You kept showing up. No matter how many times you thought you plateaued. Someone recently tried saying something crazy about me and a belt, but I'm not gonna try not to go there.
Okay.
Especially, I think my accomplishment yesterday speaks for that. You know,
yeah.
If in case that person's listening, you know, the guys I competed against yesterday, one of them is one of the top purple belt competitors in the region.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he placed 9th at the ADCC US Open.
Oh,
in the like intermediate purple belt level. Out of 30-something people, he placed 9th.
Holy shit!
I beat that guy yesterday.
Wow.
He beat me last June in the super fight tournament, and he's an incredible athlete, by the way. Next time I go against him, he's probably going to give me the business. But I look forward to it. It'll be good. Anyways, like that was hard. That level is no joke, man.
Yeah.
I've competed, you know, at white belt, blue belt, and purple. I've competed now 3 times, I want to say, at purple belt. The first one was Tap Cancer Out in San Diego. After that was the super fight tournament, that 8-man absolute division thing. I'm telling you, man, they put pro at the end of something. They really try to come and kill you.
That's so crazy.
At least at Grappling Industries, everyone's like, all right, we all got to work the next day, you know, like. Let's all have fun. Let's all have fun, okay? For me, you can take that $300. I don't care. I got to go to work. But anyways, the level of competition is very crazy. Even a white belt, man. I remember the first time I got tapped out by another white belt in class.
Yeah.
That, man, if you don't train and you go against a trained person, have fun with that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what level they're at.
No.
They have more training than you. I think you can learn anything, even from a white belt. I think white belts can show you all kinds of cool stuff too.
Yeah.
Just saying, just putting it out there. But like, I remember the first time when I was a white belt, and a white belt with like a couple stripes like got me real good, and I was just like, dude, he got me good. And he'd been training longer than me. That's really the only difference between us. He's been training longer. He was smaller than me too. Like it really beat me up for a while. But
and those things do beat you up.
Yeah,
it's just like
it's all part of the ego death.
Well, that's the whole thing. We have to kill the ego, and it's just like
it's so humbling.
The person that I tapped out from when I was getting smothered before I got my brown was a blue, and
that's gonna happen.
And I was like, but we've discussed this in class so much. If you are not getting tapped in training, then you're not training correctly,
right? Because
you should be trying something outside of what you're normally doing.
Absolutely.
And I think it was, I'm not going to say who it was, but there was mention of, what do I do to open up my game? What do I do to maybe expand on things without putting myself in a really bad situation? And the person had mentioned that the best place to try something new is with somebody lower than you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go and you're working with a white belt, let's just say, and you are a purple or a blue, you should be trying something completely and absolutely new.
Mm-hmm.
You should not be playing your game with them. You should be playing any other game except for what you actually know. Trying anything new. Why? Because the simple thing that was explained to me was that even in a bad position, you're still in a good position, because they are a lower rank. So you should be able to defend and get out. Now, it's not going to be that way all the time.
Yeah. It's also because, like, they don't really know as much of what they're doing as you do.
Right.
So even though, like, they could even be in an advantageous position and they just don't know it.
Right.
So
yes. I've had that happen many times.
That happened to me at the tournament yesterday, too, a couple times. Yeah, there's...
Got you in a good position and you didn't know where to go with it?
When I was competing, I competed no-gi for the first time yesterday, and I won second place.
So crazy.
Dude, it was wild, man. The rules are different with no-gi. With no-gi, you got to be active all the time. It's kind of like wrestling and the ADCC kind of rules.
Yeah, okay.
You got to constantly be moving, man. We were kind of talking about this before we started the episode.
Yeah.
But, like, this guy... And he's such a tough, like, my opponent, man, he's really good, but he didn't really move too much when he was in my guard, but he was also trying to stay safe. You know what I mean? Like, if we were in gi, there would have been no penalties against him at all. So it's just because it was no gi and the rules are a little different, but he wasn't like doing nothing. I just want to.
Okay.
He was absolutely, like, I could feel his energy. You know what I mean? Like, Jiu-Jitsu is pretty intimate. Like, when you're rolling with somebody, you can kind of, like, you can almost feel once you've been doing it long enough, you can kind of feel what someone's going to do before they do it. And that's when you make your move, at least,
yeah,
at our level. As you kind of go through the motions, you'll, as a white belt and blue belt, you'll learn more about that later. But it takes time on the mats to get there.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just going to show up and get your timing down on everybody.
No.
That's kind of the thing with that.
But
like,
when you're training, right, and you're supposed to be doing these things, you want to try new stuff with the white belts.
Yes, that is the best time to do that.
Where you're gonna feel safe, and you get to try new things. Right?
You don't want to use them as a punching bag.
No.
Do that.
We're not using them as a punching bag.
I just want to clarify that.
Let's just
for the
say
people listening.
you're working on single leg X sweep, but you don't do single X too often, right? Because for me, it's an awkward position to be in.
Right.
So I'm not going to try that on
Professor.
Yeah, I'm not going to try it on Drew. I'm not going to try it on Robert. Rob. Sorry.
Amigo.
I'm not going to do any of the things that I don't know how to do with any of them. I'm going to stick to what I know and what I can do best because most of the time I'm just trying to survive.
Right.
When I go against a white belt, I also don't try to kill them, first of all. Second of all, I don't do any of my normal game shit. None of it. I throw it all out the window, and I'm trying to do my single leg sweep. I'm trying to, Ezekiel. I'm trying to do all the things that I have been working on that I don't normally feel very comfortable accomplishing at this very moment. Because why? Because even if I try to do that single X sweep and they get out of it, well, now you're right there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You've got this, you've got that. You can do you can go to other places depending on how they move and where they go. But I still feel safe. I may not have gotten the sweep. I may have lost the position. But now I've got the collar. I've got, what's that?
Something to work with.
You got something to work with. But if I do that with Rob, I mean, I got nothing to work with.
He's going to be like, I got this to work with.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to be smart about moving your game up, but don't be afraid to use the lower ranks to allow yourself to grow your game.
Yeah.
And that's going to help build your game. And then you play your actual game with all the higher ranks. Now, also, when you're going with a lower rank, you don't want to kill them.
No. We want them to come back.
We want them to come back. But when you are going against...
We love you guys.
Right. But when we are going against our rank or higher, game on.
Yeah.
There is no holding back.
Well, I want to say something about that.
In a sense.
In a sense, you're absolutely 100% correct.
You know what I mean? Yeah, go ahead.
But the one thing you want to keep in mind is partner preservation.
Mm-hmm.
You might have some people that are, they're training, but they might have some injuries they're dealing with. That's why you always got to ask your training partner, you know this.
Yeah.
Hey, do you have any injuries I should be aware of? Because if they don't tell you anything and they get hurt, I mean, you're going to feel horrible, but like,
did
they tell you about it? No? Oh, well, they should have. So,
yes.
Anytime I hurt somebody by accident, I feel horrible.
Yeah.
That the rest of my night, there could be like 30 minutes left of class, but the rest of my night, that's all I'm going to be thinking about.
I mean, that's all I've ever thought about too when it happens.
I do my best to make sure it doesn't happen. But when I train with a higher belt, I give them my best. Professor taught us, if you're not giving somebody your best, you're disrespecting them.
Yes. And I agree with that 100%. But Professor Tim also told me too. Go ahead. I'll let you go first.
Well, I was going to say, like, at the same time, you don't want to be a dick.
No.
You know what I mean? If you know a guy's got injuries, figure out something else to do.
Absolutely.
While you train with that person.
Yeah,
and that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu. Like,
I mean, yeah.
I've trained a ton of times recovering injuries. I just changed how I play the game.
Right. Me too.
Where I protect my injury, but I can still have fun and hang out with my friends and
not like
choke each other out.
Right. And we won't, it's not like if you have a bad injury, we won't just sit there and like flow roll or take our time or maybe just redo the technique for the 5 minutes.
I do want to say that if you are injured, like if you're injured, don't train.
Yeah, don't train.
I mean, if you can show up to class and do the move, like drill the moves and the techniques and hang out and be around that good energy, that's good. That's awesome. You should do that.
Yes.
But if you have like a serious injury, or maybe it's not so serious, but it's an injury, don't train.
Don't train.
Don't try to fight through it.
But also, you can go to class and watch.
Yes, you can do that too.
I don't know how many times when I was injured, I would just go to class like a normal day so I wouldn't fall out of my routine.
Yeah.
So I keep the routine, but I was just sitting there watching everybody on the mats, and you don't even understand how much you absorb when you do that.
Oh, it's
crazy.
A good thing to do.
It's so good to do. To just sit back and watch is actually so informative.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh wow, look at how this person's moving now. Look at that, because now you're looking at everybody. You're not in there just doing your thing.
Yeah.
You're watching everybody. And you get to see so much more. But Professor Tim told me one time, he had an injury. I think it was his groin injury a couple years ago. And I was like, oh no, it was his knee. It was his knee. And I was like, I come up and I slap hands and I'm like, okay, so what do I need to? And he's like, you don't need to worry about a thing. You just take care of you. And if I need to tap, I'll tap. And ever since he told me that, I was like, I could go through my list of injuries with everybody that I roll with. Or when I get to the point where I know I can't handle it, I can just tap.
That's it.
And so I do that instead. And like some people will be like, I'll be defending the arm bar. And as soon as they put their back into it, I just tap real quick. And they go, what happened? And I go, that's all I can defend. That's it. It's over. You won.
That's it.
Reset. And they're like, what? And I'm like, that's it. It's all I got. But if I was to sit there and tell you, oh, well, you can't arm bar this arm because of this show. I got this show. I got this. You know, it's just, it became a point for me. It just became too much to explain because both my shoulders suck. Both my elbows suck. My right hip is worse than my left hip. And now my left knee is worse than my right knee. What the fuck, dude? I basically I would be like, don't touch anything. So it's so stupid,
right.
You know? So I get to the point now where I absorbed what Professor Tim told me. And they're like, do you have any injuries? And I go, you just do what you need to do. And if I need to tap, I tap. That's it. That's it. Because I know my body. So I know what I can defend. I know where I can defend it. I know how I can do it. And I know when I can't. So when I get to the can't, that's it. You won the round.
Just do the best you can.
Yeah, because all we're going to do is reset.
Yeah, that's
we're
the beautiful
do it
thing
again.
about jiu-jitsu.
So it's just destroying that ego enough to allow me to just go, yeah, I'm not breaking my arm for this dude. Here we go. Let's reset. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what they say, when the ego dies, the soul awakens.
Yes.
So, you know.
Yeah, it does.
It
It is incredible how that all happens, you know? Because I do feel like my soul and myself are in a way, way better place today than they ever have been before, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a good note to end this podcast on.
Hell yeah,
yeah. Elijah, thank you so much for coming back on
Thanks
the
podcast.
podcast.
For having me back, Chris. Great time.
Oh, dude, I'm so glad everybody has a good time when they come on. I really do. I mean, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. But I do want to let everybody know. You got to send an email to talkinwithtopher@gmail.com if you're interested in the Topher merchandise, everybody. And I do have little stickers. I'll try to, I'll attach a picture in the fucking video. But if you want a sticker, they're probably going to be about $3 each. I don't have a price on the t-shirts right now. So send your emails if you're interested. And of course, I hope everybody out there enjoys their Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And as always, I will talk to you later.
Okay.